So I'm a couple weeks behind on covering the new WLmouse Sword, their first ergo magnesium mouse. And why I'm behind on this video is, you all know me, I am a passionate ergo mouse fan. I daily ergo mice, and this mouse was sitting a little bit different with me compared to some other ergo mice, which we'll talk about that comparison as well in this video. But first off, what I want to show you is the mouse itself. It comes in this really nice box that has this sleeve, kind of like you're taking your sword out of its holster. Really cool right there. You get your dongle, which also has this sword emblem on it. Inside of your box, you're actually going to get your USB-C cable. Again, along with that dongle, you also get a regular 1K dongle, and then you get multiple styles of grips, some that look like keyboard grips almost, but you can utilize them on your mouse wherever you want. And then inside a little folder, you get multiple other grips. And as you see, I got those dot skates on there, which what comes included on this mouse. And it's kind of weird because they're just kind of positioned randomly on the mouse, but them dot skates, oh my gosh, I don't get the craze. I cannot stand them at all. And right in line with the super cool packaging with the sword coming out of the holster and all that, right with the mouse, you're seeing a lot of references to a sword. Again, right over here, going down into the blade, even over here on the side, you can see it right there, the sword right over there, even on this side, and on the bottom of the mouse as well, as far as that bottom shell, and then the PCB as well. I think it is so cool how they implemented the sword reference all the way around this mouse. Really cool and innovative. Now, there's one thing I want to mention with this mouse before I dive into my extensive overview with the measurements and the heat signatures and the weight and all that stuff to build quality. I want to talk about in the form it is right now, how I have been using it here. And you see I do have the grips on it, which also comes with the black ones. I put the white ones on there to get that black, white, and red type of theme. Whatever, that's just cosmetic. The white ones, they do get incredibly dirty because these are very nice, grippy, kind of plush type of grips right there. I really like them. But the thing I want to mention is, as far as these grips, with all the holes on this mice, which is the reason I had to use the grips on this mouse, is the grips don't really fit over. Even though you got those holes, the grips kind of dive into there. They don't really fit flush with the design of this mouse, which again, just I didn't like it. And right along with the grips here, even those indentions inside of there, the holes, the grips don't really cover that up, I guess I would say. I mean, they do cover it, but they don't fill in the holes. You still feel the holes through the grips because these grips are, again, soft and plush. So now let's go and dive into the heat signature testing. I want to do something a little bit different. I want to go with more of a side angle than a top-down angle. I think give you more of a true look of the mouse and the grip. So anyways, let's try this with this video here. And I'm going to put my hand on the mouse. So again, this is my grip. Obviously it's ergo, so you're going to be palming it a little bit more, kind of putting it into your hand here, which we'll talk more about the shape here in a second. But I want to let some of that heat transfer through. Again, if I was to be playing, sitting right like that, and I will tell you, you can see it doesn't go into the far back of my hand. It's kind of on the side of both ends there. And then let me go on and let it go underneath the camera. And just take a look at that heat signature there. You can see all that heat on the side over here where I told you it was hitting me. And then over here to this side, it's pretty much sitting over there. You can see the blue over there where it's a whole lot more cool, not getting that heat over here to this side. And then if you look at the front, you can see that heat going right there as well, which again, it's pretty much filling out that entire mouse as we're freezing up on the heat camera. But you can see it kind of filling out definitely towards the back. Now I want to show you a different one. This is the Zowie EC2CW, whatever. Anyways, so this one sitting in the hand, it definitely fills into the hand a whole lot more. If you can see right there, still hitting on the sides, but you can definitely feel it in the hand a whole lot more, which you'll probably notice with this heat transfer coming over here. And I'll let go, and you can just see, well, number one, the sword has holes in it, so it's not going to hold the heat like a traditional plastic mouse, but you can see right over there, locking in, rolling right over there to the thumb, and then up on the top. You're seeing all those heat signatures going from the buttons. Look at it just roll over from the back palm up to the 1 and 2. We're going to talk about that here in a second. Let's try one more. Actually, I'm going to try two more here, right? So this is the X-Lite V3. I love this ergo here. This is definitely EC-ish right here. So let's get some of this heat transferring through. We'll let go. And you can see it's very similar to the Zowie EC as far as those heat signatures rolling right up there onto 1 and 2. Now, last one I want to check here is the sword, the Stormbreaker sword. I really don't use this mouse because I just can't get down with the colorway. But man, this feels completely different compared to those, which again, I'll break down the comparison here in a second. I just want to show you the different grip points. And I'm going to go ahead and let my hand go right now. So you can see right there, and then bam, right up to the front there. If you can see the heat signature. Again, it's really hard to show on these magnesium mice with the holes because it doesn't hold the heat as well as a plastic mouse. But you can pretty much see the green compared to the blue right there. Again, kind of wrapping up towards the front. You know, I just stated I'm going to talk about the shape difference here, but I think it's going to be better off if we do the measurements so we kind of wrap all this shape and size into one little portion here. So anyways, let's go on and power this up, set it to 0. And you know what? I'm going to go on and take the grips off here. So just so we can get those raw measurements, we'll take those off. Again, I had to use it with the grips because I can't stand them holes right here. But anyways, talking about measurements, let's go on and get that length first off. We're going to get her up to the buttons, not to the bottom of the mouse, but up to the buttons. Sorry, this is upside down. It's the angle I'm sitting here. So you can see that. Let's get that grip width right by the buttons to the side. There's our grip width. As far as that flare out on the hump in the back, there, buttons coming in. As far as the height of the buttons, I'm going to try not to press them down. We're going to the bottom of the mouse, right there. As far as where the scroll wheel sits from the bottom of the mouse, ooh, this is a tough one to get. Let me get that right there. No. Okay. There we go. Sorry, it's tough to get that scroll wheel to stay. We get the measurement. And then as far as sensor to that actual hump in the middle, this is what I want you to really focus on here. Let's make sure we got the same measurement from this side. Sensor, yeah, so pretty much right at 40. Now, I want to show you the EC, and you might have to go back and take a look at some of the measurements here. But let's look at that length right there, the grip width right here. But let me get that grip width up a little more. The biggest thing we want to focus on here is right here, that height of that hump. And then let's go and do the same hump measurement over here on the X-Lite V3. As I told you, pretty much just like the Zowie mouse. And then let's get over here to the Stormbreaker sensor, which you can adjust the sensor on this, so that doesn't really give us much justice. But you can see they all have bigger humps than the sword. So as far as the size of the sword, the feel in the hand compared to some other tried and true ergo shapes, number one being the Zowie EC, no, the sword is not a Zowie EC. Comparing it to the X-Lite, well, the X-Lite's more like a Zowie EC. And talking about the Stormbreaker, getting this mouse in the hand, it's not so much an EC because it's really sharp on that hump on the top and then your fingers kind of slope down. It's a really nice feeling. I just love the Stormbreaker. It kind of locks your hand into that ergo type shape. It's a really fun mouse. Recently covered it. Go check that one out if you haven't yet. But back to the sword here. This is more of a flat ergo. So again, you're talking a big bulbous in the Zowie or the X-Lite there. Kind of gets that nice flow, just plump ergo mouse, tried and true. It's what I love. Getting this one here, it's weird. It's almost like, would I say S1 vibes from Zowie? Of course, you got that ergo shape here, so not truly like that, but you got a little bit more of that flatter profile that you got with the S1, if any of you remember that. So I would say this is more universal, more flickable and dippable, right? Rather than just a big ergo that's going to lock in your hand. So I think it's gonna work for a lot of people, but for me, no, it's not my preferred ergo type of vibe. Now, one other noticeable difference I had with the new WLmouse Sword, even compared to the Beast, this is the Beast X Max, and then again, talking about a traditional plastic mouse or even the Ponage Stormbreaker. That is the coating on this mouse. I don't want to say it's grippy. It's still a magnesium metal mouse, right? But as you saw in the heat signatures, it doesn't hold that heat in there, so it does always stay cool to the touch. But again, the grips, I had to keep the grips on because you can see these holes even better now. I had to put them there. But at the core, the coating, it's, I don't want to say textured because that'll definitely be leading you the wrong way. But it does have a little bit more of a feeling, even compared to like the Beast X Max here as it's a little bit more smooth. Over here on the Ponage, it definitely feels more glossy, and that could just be this paint theme they got over it. And then of course over here to a plastic one, which I just feel like is the grippiest, but it also holds the heat a whole lot more. But again, back to the sword here, it just feels different. I think what's going on here is all the designs and cutouts they have on it compared to, again, to the Beast, which is just straight up smooth. I think getting that coating over it, and again, the design, the fabrication and all that was a whole lot easier, hence the reason for that smooth touch. Over here on the sword, again, you just got a slightly grainier texture, but it's very mild, but in the hand you can tell the difference. And one other thing I noticed different on the sword compared to the Beast X, or heck, any other mouse, is the scroll wheel here. And I'm not sure if you guys can see it in the camera, but the scroll wheel, it kind of dips down, like it's really soft and mushy in some spots. Again, I'm not sure if the camera can pick that up. You definitely don't have that on the Beast, or heck, any other mouse I've used before. It's always, again, that hard tension. This one, you got really mushy spots in between it and spots. So I'm going to try to peel the scroll wheel up here. Hopefully I don't ruin it, which it's kind of tough. So let's go on. There we go. So, okay, so I think I'm seeing what's going on here. What you can see in the scroll wheel is you got cutout. So you got cutout, solid, cutout, bigger solid, and then again going on throughout the entire wheel. So in those not solid spots, those little cutout spots, you feel the scroll wheel get really mushy down there rather than that nice firm press as we're used to with every other mouse. Now I want to give you a quick sound test of the switches here. And again, we're using the optical ones, but you can also get those TTC black dot ones. But I also want to give you a sound test compared to the Pulsar X Lite, which is just a plastic mouse to again show you that difference. And then also the difference compared to the Ponage Stormbreaker. So I'm going to take my mic. I'm going to set it right there in front of these mice. Let's get that sound test. So as far as the buttons and click feel of the Sword X, very snappy, right to the point. That's your 1 and 2 in your side buttons. I mean, I don't really have any play or give on them. They just, man, you press them and they go in there. You do still got that mushiness of the scroll wheel as I showed you before. But the weird thing about my 1 and 2 is my left button feels a little bit firmer than my right button. I don't know if that's just because the angle here or whatever, but it just feels slightly firmer. It's very weird. It's not like a massive amount, but again, it does feel firmer. And that's right with these buttons. I don't want to say they feel firm, but it's kind of something you got to get used to, right? Because you press them, bam, and they're right down there to business. You know, you don't got all this excess play or something. So some might mistake it as being a firm or a harder press because you're used to pressing down so much further. With these, you press them and you go right down. Now, as you heard, massive difference coming over here to like a plastic mouse. You know, this sounds loud compared to that. And then over here on the Ponage Stormbreaker, you kind of get that same vibe. If you use the Ponage Stormbreaker and you like that instant press down, bam, and your switch bottoms out or your buttons bottom out, that's what you get over there on the sword. Very similar feeling to the sword. I would say the only weird thing is how, again, this one feels firmer than that button. Now let's go and take a look at the build of the Sword X, and I'm going to take out the force gauge meter. We're going to be testing this in pounds, so I'm not just telling you, oh, I'm squeezing it like this or that. You're going to see exactly how we're pressing it here. So starting over here on the pinky side, I can go all the way up to 16, 15 pounds with no issues whatsoever. If we go on the top bit here, I'm not getting anything all the way up to 16, 17. Now I will tell you, when I was just pressing there up to that 17 pounds, I heard a little crease or a little creak over there. So let's see what we're getting. Nothing. Oh, hold on. Let me go back here. Okay, so when I get up to like 15 pounds, I do get a little bit of movement. Let's see if you guys can see it better over there. But again, you're not going to be pressing your mouse 15 pounds. I like doing this because if there's a drastic weak point that it breaks, you're just going to know that, hey, that exists there. As far as the bottom, obviously it's going to flex. It's very minimal down there, but you're not pressing your mouse on the bottom. I'm telling you, the build of this mouse all the way around is just incredibly solid. Now let's go and take a look at the weight of the sword here. Now I don't have any grips on this, but I do have the larger skates on the bottom. But anyway, slapping it on a scale here, we're getting 48.8 grams. We'll just call it straight up 49, and it's very nice and well balanced. You don't feel any extra weight up front or in the back by the battery. Very nice and well balanced. Now let's stack it up to the Beast X here. This is with the grips on the side. We're getting 45.5, and then we'll go in and get the other magnesium mouse on here, being the Stormbreaker, coming in at pretty much 52 grams. Over here, the Death Adder V3 Pro coming in also at 62 grams. And then we're going to get the X-Lite V3 coming at the heftiest of 66 grams pretty much, and craziest. This is my preferred mouse right now. Actually, the Zowie is going to be the heftiest here, coming in at 77.7. And this is, I use the Zowie on my work computer, and then I pretty much use the X-Lite V3 on my gaming station. So again, weight really isn't a thing for me. It's really, as I've stated many times before, it's that shape. You got that more plump feel, so it's in your hand a whole lot more. So that heavier weight's not going to be as noticeable as a smaller mouse with lighter weight. Hopefully that makes sense. I've stated in all of my mice videos, and I really stand behind that. Now, the other thing I really love about the WLmouse Sword X here is, number one, the options you get. These colorways are gorgeous. This black and silver or gray speckle is gorgeous. This silver and black I love. Of course, we're going red and black here. But anyways, super cool colorways to choose from. You can choose Omron Opticals or your TTC black dots down here. So different options to choose from. But other than that is the controllability of it, right? Is you come over here to download, well, you're not seeing the Sword X here, which I'm not sure if they're going to come out with one, but you're not seeing a downloadable option. And I honestly don't have the software downloaded for any of these anyways. But you come down here to WebHub, or up here to WebHub, and you're going to see our mouse is going to come up right here. Click on that, and this is going to give us all of our options. Now, it's not the most aesthetically pleasing software we've seen out there, but it does everything you want. You got profiles over there that you can have, your polling rate up to 8,000. I leave all of my mice at 4,000 just to keep it stable. When I get to 8,000, I tend to get a couple hiccups here and there. Angle snapping, you got DPI stages, which you can set up to 6, and you can actually set the color, and you get a little light blinking inside the mouse whenever you change them. I leave mine at 800 and done for the day. Over here, debounce time, sleep timer, liftoff distance. You see liftoff, they got 0.7 and 1 millimeter to 2 millimeters. I always leave mine at 1 millimeter. I tried the 0.7 and honestly couldn't tell a difference from 1 millimeter, so whatever, you know. Remote control, DPI indicator, motion sync, and high speed mode. Coming up top, you have your other options as far as key bindings, which this is a little bit more simple. I like this. It shows what your button is. Bam. Click your option right down here. I like this, pretty nice and simple. You got your lighting, which is going to be the lighting RGB on that dongle right there. A couple different effects to choose from or turn it off. I wish what they would have done here is like Final Mouse does it, and I know some other Razer does it with a little dot, but anyways, I wish you had a battery indicator right here for the mouse, letting you know, again, if it gets yellow, it's starting to die, or red, you're getting really close to dead battery. So I wish that would be something they could do right here. And then, of course, you have your macro. So the software does what it needs to do. It's nothing over the top or anything. But once you get the hang of it, you kind of set it, forget it, and you're done. And you don't got some random software downloaded on your PC. Now, this is something I really like about the Sword X mouse, is this dongle. Not just the cool cosmetic look of it, as you see, again, the sword right there. But when you fling it over to the side, you can see these 3 buttons. You got your liftoff distance, your DPI, and then your polling rate. If you guys can see that in the camera, not sure if it's picking up. There you go. Now you can see each different button. Now you can also adjust all this right on the mouse, as we've seen in Glorious Mice, by holding down a different sequence of buttons. It's all in the manual, so you can adjust it right there as well if you're using the 1K dongle, or again, if you got this dongle, you can adjust it right on this. The downfall of it is, I think they could have really utilized, again, the lighting of this dongle a little bit more as far as, again, showing the battery life. If it's getting lower, it gets to red, orange, or, you know, green if it's full. Down here, as far as DPI changes, the light will change in the mouse. I don't know if you guys can see it in there. There you go. You can see it right in the back. The light changes in the mouse there. But say if you come over to polling rate and we adjust this, all it's going to do is flash. I don't even know if you guys can see it kind of hidden in there. There you go, a little bit, but you see it just flashes and that's it. I feel like they could have really utilized this as far as, okay, we're changing a DPI. Well, this color should change to that DPI you set in the software, or the polling rate, it should change on the dongle. I feel like there's a really missed opportunity to really utilize the full potential of this dongle and the RGB up here. Now on the performance end of things, this mouse performed absolutely flawless. No hiccups, no delays, no stutters, no disconnects, no nothing, no lag. Battery life performed absolutely flawless. I don't play many competitive FPS games. My shooter of choice these days is The First Descendants. Oh my gosh, I'm hooked on that game. Definitely give it a shot if you're into Destiny or The Division, stuff like that. It's such a fun game for sure. But that's my shooter. So again, my hand's on the mouse quite a bit, pretty active, moving around and everything. And I leave my mice, again, as I've stated in pretty much all of my videos, at 4,000 polling rate. Once I dabble with 8,000 polling rate, I just start getting issues. Again, with their keyboards, with rapid trigger and snap tap now and all these other things. You got a lot going on in there. So I keep my mice kind of tamed down to that 4,000. I get a really smooth performance, again, across all of my mice, but that will, of course, depend on your system. But talking about this mouse here, again, it was flawless. I had no issues whatsoever. The main thing that was different for me was that shape, again, being a little bit lower, not having a really plump hump on it, which I'm used to with my ergo mice. Now that we had a good look over of the new WLmouse Sword X here, there's a lot of different directions we can take this video, which is why it took me a while to get to this review video here. I didn't want to jump on this topic or that topic that I experienced right out of the gate. I wanted to really get some true time with it so I can share that with you guys. And number one, with this mouse coming in at 150 bucks, I think that's a fair price. I really do. For what you're getting, what it's packing, I think that is fair. You're talking, that's up there like Razer, Death Adder, or the new Viper mice, which stay on my desk as well. So you're in that price point right there. That's what we're seeing for mice. But most importantly is the shape, I think. And that's what was really throwing me off. And as much as I like this mouse, I don't catch myself wanting to use it more or going back to it. I personally love a plumper ergo mouse where that hump is definitely more pronounced in the middle and it will kind of sit up into my knuckles. I catch my hand going down a little bit more for this. Again, shape is personal preference for sure, and maybe you don't like that big plump ergo. Well, that's the void this is going to fill, right? We see a lot of shapes like this that are definitely EC clones, and right out the gate, that's what I'm thinking, like, oh, this is an EC. Well, no, it's really not. Again, it sits a lot lower, and if that's something you've been looking for, this is going to do it. Me personally, I like those big plump ergos, hence the reason I can't catch myself going back to this. But at the end of the day, this video is not for me. It's for you. And I hope my extensive testing and review here was able to help you out and beneficial for you. And if it was, please hit that thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe. And I hope to catch you in the next one. Bye now.